Hi, I'm Mariah and I'm the children's pastor at our Lake Stevens campus. Thanks so much for joining us online today. If this is your first time checking us out, welcome. We're so excited that you're here and we would love to get to know you better. Text Gold Creek to the number there on your screen and someone from our Connections team will contact you so that we can meet you. Also, if you call Gold Creek your home already, we are so grateful for you. We cannot have church without you. For your time, for your resources, for all of the energy that you give to our church, thank you so much. And if you're looking for an opportunity to get more involved by giving, text GC Lake Stevens to the number on your screen right now. Enjoy service.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too.
Good morning, everyone. Week 2, There For You, our Friends series. I love this series because I love this show. In fact, I started over again season 1 just the other night. My wife and I were talking about this and we just popped it in and decided to watch it because we love this show. If you've never seen it, I feel sorry for you just a little bit, but it's okay. We're gonna talk through this. Today, we're gonna talk about the one where they take care of each other, but before that, last week we talked about the one where they choose to endure. We talked about faith and persistence, and there's a patient waiting, but it's not a sit and do nothing waiting. It is an active waiting, like waiting as you're trying to finish a marathon, not waiting, sitting in the doctor's office waiting for results. There is a difference that James is talking about here, and he is talking about active waiting, pursuing God as you are silent or as he is silent. So today, the one where they take care of each other. How do you feel when someone looks out for you? How do you feel when you get something that you don't really deserve? I'm not talking necessarily forgiveness. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking actual favor that someone does you or actual perk that you might receive for no reason other than, hey, we have this, would you like it? It feels pretty good, right? Getting a blessing for no reason. Who doesn't enjoy that? For example, man, who doesn't love a first class upgrade? I mean, when you're flying and you're sitting in coach and your knees are touching, it's fine. You get to where you want to, but sitting in first class where you actually have like 2.5 feet of leg room and your seat is 50% larger, and the minute you sit down, the flight attendant comes and brings you a beverage and a snack and a warm towel. They give you blankets. It's great up there. I love it up in first class. And I remember the first time that I got to sit in one. The very, very first time was not because I paid for it, but because I asked for it. I was flying back to California from somewhere in the United States. I don't remember the exact location, but I remember asking the ticket lady as I was checking in, is there an upgrade that you could possibly give me? I've never flown first class. And she smiled, did a little click, 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 click. Yes, sir. Let me upgrade you right now. And she upgrades me and moved me up. And let me tell you something, it's really nice up there. If you've never done this, it is really nice up there. I'm gonna circle back to that in a second. Well, today we're looking at the second chapter from James. This is his perspective. James, the half-brother of Jesus, talking about how he has been changed and how his experience with Jesus has changed his life and his views. Remember, he was anti-Jesus. He was he's the Messiah. And then he ends up dying for the faith. That's a big swing. There were some life change moments that happened. And he is writing right now, he is writing this letter during a very hatred-filled and prejudice age. Hugely hatred-filled and prejudice. I mean, people are based and judged on their class, on their ethnicity, on their nationality, on their religious background. They are either Jew or Gentile, slave or free, rich or poor, Romans or everyone else. I mean, does this sound familiar? It kind of sounds like today's climate even now, right? 2,000 plus years later, and we're still dealing with the same sort of prejudices, whether it's internal or external. So James, when he writes this that long ago, you could look at it and be like, oh, that was written 2,000 years ago. No. Listen to the words. This is all stuff that is relevant now and happening now. Let's jump into James chapter 2, verse 1. My dear brothers and sisters, how can you claim to have faith in our glorious Lord if you favor some people over others? The first thing we have to understand when we talk about choosing to take care of each other is we have to open our hearts. I have to open my heart. Do you have a favorite person in your life? Or possibly people? Or a favorite place? Maybe it's it's a particular coffee stand that you always go back to just because you just like them. You like the way they interact with you. The coffee might be the best, maybe it's not, but you just enjoy this coffee shop for the experience that you get every single time. And you just go back no matter what. Is that a bad thing? Is that something that we should look down on? Not really, no. What James is talking about is the labeling of people by the way that they dress or that they look. How do we see people? How do we label people? How do we prejudge people? I did an experiment once, which if you guys know me well enough, you know I like to experiment socially on people when they're not paying attention. And this is back when I was working in sales. And I was working in the sales world, and I had what was called a car allowance, which means that the company was going to pay me to buy a car. I know, it's a great job. And so they gave me this monthly stipend, and it was enough for a car that rhymes with Porsche. And so I decided to go to this high-end dealership just to check them out. I wasn't sure that I wanted one, but I wanted to check it out. So I go in, and it was hot. It was like 100 degrees. So I'm wearing just shorts and a t-shirt. And I drive up to the lot, and I get out of the car. And normally, if you go to a sales lot, within probably 30 seconds, you're approached by someone, right? Can I help you? Can I direct you? What are you looking for? Whatever it is. I get out of the car and I'm looking around and I don't see anyone. No one is coming towards me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna window shop a little bit. It's kind of nice because I don't have to deal with questions right away. I get to pick some colors and whatever models myself. So I'm walking around and I'm walking up and down the lot and I'm looking at colors and I'm looking inside and I'm looking at the sticker and I'm picking out a couple that I really, really like and still no one. And I'm going, what's going on? Did I catch them at a lunch break? And I'm like, no, it's 3 o'clock. It's not a lunch break. And I'm looking around, nothing's happening. So finally, I'm like, I guess I'll walk into the sales office. And it's a big glass building. It's not like, there's only this little tiny window. The whole thing was glass, so they could see me clearly. And I'm walking in. I open the door, walk inside. Still no one. No one approaches me. I'm going, what is happening right here? So then I walk up to the front desk. There's a lady sitting behind. And she says, how can I help you? And I said, well, I was looking at a car. I was thinking of buying a car, but no one came and talked to me, and I feel weird about it now. So did I miss something? And she just kind of nervously looked at me, and she's like, oh, well, let me call someone. I said, no, it's okay. I'm gonna take off. And so I took off. Didn't talk to anyone. Didn't buy a car, obviously. And I went home, and I thought, I wonder if it was because of the way I was dressed. So the next, I think it's like 6 days later, because I don't go the next day. It's about 6 days later, the following week, I'm wearing my work attire. So I'm wearing basically my suit and tie, except I took off the jacket because it was hot. And I've got my shirt and tie, I've got my slacks, and I drive up to the lot. And as soon as I get out, within probably 15 feet of the car, I had a sales rep come walking right up to me really quick, just like with a mission. Hey, how can I help you today? Is there something that I can help you find? And he's very nice to me, and he's talking to me. Well, what are you looking for? And we had this conversation. I was like, I'm looking for this model and this color. Do you have it? And he's like, yes. And would you like to go for a test drive? And just the whole nine. Would you like some coffee or water? Or how can I serve you? And super nice, super cordial, great sales rep at that point. But I remember thinking, as he's so nice to me, it's got to be because of the way that I'm dressed. I'm sure when I first walked up, it looked different. Like, yeah, here's a guy wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I don't know that he's really serious. Versus this guy who's basically wearing a suit and tie. He must be serious. I was judged by the way that I was dressed. Even though I had the same amount of money as both people, I was judged by the way that I was dressed and the way that I looked. And I thought, what are we doing today that is equal to that? How do we look at people spiritually today where we judge them by the way that they look or present themselves? I want to keep that in the back of your mind because James dives into this. Verse 2, for example, suppose someone comes into your meeting dressed in fancy clothes and expensive jewelry. Another translation says rings on their hands, and another comes in who is poor and dressed in dirty clothes. If you give special attention and a good seat to the rich person, but you say to the poor one, you go stand over there or sit on the floor, well, doesn't this discrimination show that your judgments are guided by evil motives? When we are talking about taking care of each other, the first thing is obviously opening your heart, but secondly, it's what is your motives? We have to purify our motives. What is your motivation here? What are you trying to do? And honestly, I feel like you guys, especially at our campus, when we have, in person and we're doing, church on Sundays, I feel like you guys are so good at this. You're so amazing at welcoming people. You're so good at this. That's one of the first things that I get when new people come in, the feedback that I get is, wow, everyone just is so friendly and welcoming, and I just feel like I'm walking into my home. And so you guys do amazing at this. I mean, really, really amazing. But let me paint a picture for you guys. I'm going to show you a picture here in a second, and I want you to imagine that this person walks into our services. All right, you guys ready? So let's show the picture right now. Picture, boom. Chris Pratt, right? Honestly, if Chris Pratt walks into our services, how would you react? How would you react? I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be starstruck. I am. I'm gonna be all giddy and be like, that's Chris Pratt. Yeah, that's the Lego guy, That's the Jurassic Park guy. That's the Parks and Recs guy where I first met him. He's a local LS guy, Lake Stevens guy. He grew up in Lake Stevens, went to Lake Stevens High School, worked in various locations around Lake Stevens. In fact, if you go to the Chicken Drive-In, you'll know that he worked there at one point in his life. So it's just kind of fun. But a local movie star, a local guy, coming to hear me preach. Wow, now that would excite my blood a little bit. Now, what if you have Chris Pratt, but what if another person walks in and they're a stranger? I don't know who they are. And perhaps maybe they're even homeless. And they walk into the same sanctuary, the same service. Would I be as excited about him or her as I am about Chris? And honestly, I don't think that I would be. And when I put myself in that situation and I read these scriptures, I am reminded as I read this that I need work. That me personally, my spirituality, my mental capabilities, my perception of people needs work. I need to work at this. I need to shape my thoughts and behavior to be more in line with Jesus. And it's humbling because, again, we should not be looking at people or people that with jobs they have or what class or what ethnicity. But sometimes that does creep into us. Sometimes it's tempting to go, oh yeah, I figured them out. Yeah, I know who they are. I don't need to know any more about them. And it's tempting to do that. But the reality is that every person that walks into the doors of our church, every person that clicks play on these videos, every person watching right now, every one of us, we all have baggage. And I have luggage here that I brought with me. We all have baggage. Ugh. And we carry this baggage in here, all of us. And for some of us, it's really heavy. It's just, there's so much just stuff that has happened in the course of our life that has caused our baggage to be really heavy. And it's filled with things like shame and fear. And we walk in wondering, how much of my baggage is okay to share with the people around me? And there's a genuine fear that comes with that. But if you realize, and I realize, and we can come to the same conclusion that we all carry baggage, and that your baggage is no better or worse than my baggage, there's a freedom that comes with that. There's a freedom that comes with that because you're releasing some of that shame that could possibly exist. Now, I'm going to come back to this again here, but I want to read verse 8. Yes, indeed, it is good when you obey the royal law, as found in the scriptures, love your neighbor as yourself. But if you favor some people over others, you are committing a sin. You are guilty of breaking the law. Loving my neighbor, that's the third step. That's the third step. We have to love our neighbor. What is royal law? Royal law is any decree or law that is passed down by a king. And the royal law that James is talking about here is passed down by Jesus, the King of Kings, right? And he told us to do two things: love God, love each other. Those are the two things that he told us to do. He said everything else hinges on those. He didn't say, and this is Jesus, he didn't say, love others more if they look like you. He didn't say, love others more if they have a lot of money or they have a great job. He didn't say, love others more if they share the same views as you. He did not say that. He said, love others with no limits, with no boundaries. It's open. It's open to everyone. And he's challenging us to do that. It means that we know that they have baggage. It means we know it because we know that we have baggage. Do you see what I'm saying? You know that they have baggage because you know you have baggage yourself. And again, it comes back to comparing. We don't judge them by their bags. We help them carry it. We walk alongside of them. And maybe even we introduce them to Jesus, who was quoted as saying, I want to carry your burdens. That's what this means, loving my neighbor. You guys are going to have an opportunity to love your physical neighbor here in the next few weeks when we have our Christmas Eve services. We have a gift that we would like you to give to them. In a second, there's going to be a number that pops up on the screen, or maybe it's already up there. I want you to text the word gift to this number. It's going to send you to a link where you can fill out a form and order some boxes that you can use to give to your friends and family. And these are important because inside of each box, there's going to be a 7-day experience, almost like an advent calendar, where every day there's going to be a different country that is represented, and they'll get a chance to open that one gift for the day, and they'll read about that country and how they celebrate Christmas. And then it culminates in day 7 with some candles and an invitation back to a Christmas Eve service. So this is a big deal, and we want you to use this and take this tool and use that to invite your friends and family that don't go to church. Now, the only stipulation is it's not for you. It's not for you. I will have something else for you at the service. This is for you to give away. The boxes are going to be really cool, trust me. We've put a lot of time and effort and thought into this. They're going to be cool, but they're not for you. They're for them. They're cool for a reason. We want them to be like, oh, this is kind of nice. Hey, yeah, I'll check out their service. So we would love for you to fill this out. Order boxes. Let's invite as many people as we can to church for Christmas Eve. It's going to be a great experience. It's like Christmas around the world. It's going to be fun. So I encourage you to do that. Go ahead and text that. Let's keep moving. Verse 12. So whatever you say or whatever you do, remember that you will be judged by the law that sets you free. There will be no mercy for those who have not shown mercy to others. But if you have been merciful, God will be merciful when he judges you. The next thing is you gotta get what you give. You get what you give. When we're talking about taking care of each other, what you want, you have to be willing to give. That's how it works. One of the reasons I love this book, not just because we share the same name, right, James, but I love the simplicity of his words. He starts off in chapter 1, listen and do. And then he says, love without limits. And now he's saying, if you want mercy, show mercy to others. I love the simplicity of this. It seems so simple, but yet it's so difficult, I know. It's so hard to do some of these things. And again, it means you don't look at their luggage and judge them. It means that you look at their luggage and you look down at yours and you look at theirs and you look at yours and you realize that you're all in this together. You're all in this together. You're trying to navigate life, both carrying luggage. And yours is no worse than theirs and theirs is no worse than yours. And we show mercy and we show kindness, which is so desperately lacking today in our society. And you know this. And in verse 14, what good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing, and you say goodbye, and have a good day. Stay warm and eat well. That's sarcasm right there in case you didn't know that. But then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. James throws a little gauntlet here. And I love it because you can't see someone's faith. You do not know, just by looking at someone, what they choose to have faith in. Even if, let's say, you came up to a priest and they're wearing priestly garbs, you honestly have no idea inside of them if they even believe. You don't. No one can see another person's faith. But James is pointing out that you can see their works. You can see where they put their work into, which shows where their faith is in. That's why he throws this in here. This is not a salvation precursor that if you're saved, then you have to do these works. It's not what he's saying. He's saying that your faith will naturally produce an action in you, works in you that will reflect directly what you believe. And he's pointing that out. And he's showing that to us. And he's saying, do what you say. Do what you say. And it's, again, seems so simple. But yet we struggle with it. Why do we struggle with it? Because we don't like to be uncomfortable. None of us do. We love comfort. That's why you have 90 blankets in a basket by your couch, because you like to be comfortable. That's why I have 5 pillows just for me on my bed, because I like to create a cocoon of comfort next to me. We love to be comfortable. That's just part of our human nature. But sometimes comfort is the enemy of action, and James is pointing that out. You know what's funny about my first class experience? The first time that I was in first class, the funny thing about it is she did not know me, the lady that gave me the ticket. She didn't know me, and she gave me the first class upgrade. And typically when you get on an airplane, you have a carry-on piece of luggage like this, right? You have some items in there, you have your quart of wet bag in the front, and you have some clothes and some basic things like that, depending on how long your trip is, etc. And this is typically what a carry-on piece of luggage looks like. Well, that day, I had checked all my bags except for one piece of carry-on, but my carry-on did not look like this. When I walked into first class for the very first time in my life, my carry-on luggage looked like this. That was my carry-on luggage, and I'm gonna move this over here. This was my carry-on luggage. I had a trash bag with some shirts in it. Because while I was packing, I ran out of room and I didn't want to throw my shirts away, so I just asked for a trash bag and I filled it with my shirts. This, no joke, was how I jumped onto first class. And I'm walking in and I go to sit down and she's like, can I see your ticket? And they did that with everyone, not just me, but they did it with everyone. Can I see your ticket? And here you go. Oh yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Mr. Cullen. Boom, sits me down. Can I take your luggage? Sure. And I hand her my trash bag. She has no idea what's in it. It could literally be trash. She had no idea. She takes my trash bag, helps me put it in the overhead bin, looks at me and says, Mr. Cullen, can I serve you a beverage? And I said, yes, you can. I would love a ginger ale. So she hands me a ginger ale, and then she brings me a piece of chocolate and a towel, and the towel was hot and clean. She did not judge me. I saw no judgment in her eyes. Zero. It was amazing. She treated me like everyone else, even though I came on board unlike everyone else. I love that. I love when people walk the walk. And in that circumstance, she didn't turn her nose at me. She didn't ignore me. In fact, she checked on me through the entire flight back. Is there anything else I can do for you? Is there any other thing that I can help you with? Is there a way I can serve you? Would you like some earphones? Would you like a blanket? Would you like a pillow? I mean, she just pulled out all the stops. She had no idea who I was. And she could have prejudged me, but there was none. She did what she was saying. She said what she did. It backed itself up. And I look at that lesson, and we have that exact same lesson here in James. Verse 19, you say you have faith, for you believe that there is no God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless? Just as the body is dead without breath, so also faith is dead without good works. They go together. If you claim to have faith in Jesus, then your actions should reflect it. It should. It should be a part of who you are. And today, as we close, I keep thinking about the theme song, I'll Be There For You, and our series title is There For You. And I keep wondering, how can we take care of each other? You know, a few months back, we had a lot of our families donate their stimulus checks to help other families that were just hurting during the economic crunch. And that's just an example of how I was so proud of our family and our church family. And I look at those as examples and I keep thinking, what is something that we could do today that is a way that we can be there for you? And I don't know where you're at watching. I don't know if you're in a good place, you're in a bad place, or you're somewhere in the murky middle. I have no idea. But if there's a way for us to be there for you today, we would love that opportunity. We would love to be able to do that with you. And you can private message the account directly and we'll get back to you. You can put something in the comments. If there's something that we can pray for, if there's a physical need that you have, I love how God orchestrates things that we don't even know. And maybe you come to church and your car's running funny and you're like, man, my car's just not running funny. And you sit down next to a mechanic. And God just orchestrates that and you start a conversation and that mechanic walks outside and helps fix your car. That's an example that actually happened at one of my other churches. This guy drove up, he rolled in, his car died as soon as he got to the church parking lot. He sat next to a mechanic. He said, how are you? He's like, it's okay, I just made it, my car died. He's like, I'm a mechanic, I'll take a look afterward. And he fixed it. It's amazing how God comes through, even when we're not expecting it. So if there's something that you need, and it may not be as specific as that, but if there's something you need, we want to be there for you. So please reach out, private message us, contact us. If you have my cell phone number, text me. Put something in the comments. Let's see what we can do. We want to help. And again, maybe there's nothing for you. You just need prayer. We'd love to pray for you. We just want you to understand that if there's a genuine need, we want to try to meet it. So we want to give you that opportunity. Let me pray for you and then we'll be done. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, this morning. We thank you that you provide even when we're not expecting it. And we just ask right now in this moment, as we're thinking about our needs, that we are reminded that our basic needs, Father, of breath in our lungs, of food, of shelter are met. And so I just pray, God, that if there's someone in need right now, that they reach out to us. Whether it's prayer and it's a spiritual need, that they reach out. Whether it's a physical need, they reach out. And I pray for just our hearts in this moment. God, help us to be aligned with you, to reflect you, to see you. And ask for this in Jesus' name, amen. Hey, thank you guys for being a part of Sunday morning with us. We're so glad you're here, and we will see you next week.
Stop.
Thanks so much for joining us today. To make sure that you stay up to date with everything happening at Gold Creek, check out our website, goldcreek.org, follow us on all of our social media platforms, and make sure you download the app onto your phone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.